Javier Milei, President of Argentina, World Economic Forum Annual Meeting 2025. This is posted by the World Economic Forum. So anytime I can go directly to the source, I do, because it's just nicer. Okay, so, and we don't have to worry about interpretations so this is the gentleman introducing him. I don't know his name. He says a little bit about him, and then we'll hear, and I'm going to jump around because it's 30 minutes. I can't play it all, but listen carefully. Enjoy a brilliant man who's brave. Here we go.
Everyone, and how much has changed in such a short time. A year ago, I stood here before you alone and spoke some truths about the state of the Western world that were met with some surprise and astonishment by much of the political, economic, and media establishment of the West. And I must admit that in a way I understand it. A president from a country that, as a result of systematic economic failure for more than 100 years, as a result of having the country taken weak stances in major global conflicts, and as a result of us having closed ourselves off to trade, we had lost practically all international significance over the years. A president of such a country stood on this stage and told the entire world that they were wrong, that they were headed for failure, that the West had gone astray, and that it needed to be redirected. The president of that country, Argentina, who was not a politician, who had no legislative support, no backing from governors, business leaders, or media groups. In that speech, here, standing before you, I told you it was the beginning of a new Argentina, that Argentina had been infected with socialism for far too long, and that with us it would once again embrace the ideas of freedom, a model that we summarize as the defense of life, liberty, and private property.
All right, so here he goes. He sets this. I just love. He's so brave. He's so strong. He's obviously talking about himself. The president of Argentina stood here a year before you, a country with a failed economic history, and he told the world they're wrong. They're told they're wrong. And he goes into detail how they're wrong. Of course, the censorship and socialism and the woke life, getting away from principles of a free market. And I love that life, liberty, and property. Okay, life, liberty, and property that's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is what Thomas Jefferson adopted from John Locke. I want to stop right there and just look at that phrase before we go on. So John Locke, the great John Locke, the philosopher. I'm going to say great in whether you like his philosophy or not, but he's certainly great in the sense of the canon of philosophers. He stands out. Jefferson, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But the United States does actually have that exact phrase in the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. All right, it states that no one can be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The 14th Amendment also references it. California Constitution has it. And, of course, the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. John Locke, in the Two Treatises of Government, he said that society exists to protect property, which he defined as a person's life, liberty, and estate. All right, life, liberty, property. So I think we always have to remember these philosophical principles and, how beneficial it is when somebody steps up there and puts it back on the line. And the idea of property, okay, pursuit of happiness sounds nice, but really the idea of life, that all three are your property, right? Like my life, my journey here on earth, the gift God has given me, life, liberty, the liberty to exercise that life. Really, what else is liberty but the ability, the non-restriction by anybody or anything for me to fulfill the potential or squander the potential, because free will, of the life that God has given me. And property. We are material beings. Our bodies are property, right? Of course, we respect the don't touch somebody, right? You can't get in somebody's even their personal space, but also their stuff. One of the great reasons the United States has had such economic success is the free markets, but also clear property rights. You can't mortgage a property if you don't know the boundaries. So good surveys, results in property that with deeds. Deeds can be financed, mortgaged, Okay, and money can be taken out. They can be sold easily. Many countries that we just assume that everybody has this, they don't. Okay, so life, liberty, property, and he's going to go on. I don't know how much I can play. I'm tempted to almost play the entire thing and just go through it with you, because sometimes it's not about me talking, right? It's about finding gems like this and stopping and realizing that there are people out there. It's not just Trump. This this sea, or the swamp, is worldwide. Okay, it's infected many countries, and with that, great men and women. We're going to see women rising up. 3 women in Europe. It's amazing. 3, okay, are really rising to the top here, and let's go on and keep going. Okay.
And I also told you that, in a way, Argentina was the ghost of Western Christmases yet to come, because we had already experienced everything you were going through, and we already knew how it would end. A year later, I must say that I no longer feel so alone. I don't feel alone because the world has embraced Argentina. Argentina has become a global example of fiscal responsibility, of commitment to honoring our obligations, and obviously a commitment to solve the inflation problem. Also, we are an example of a new way of doing politics, which is about telling people the truth to their faces and trusting that they will understand. Not
okay, telling people truth to their faces and trusting that they will understand. It's a directness, a candor. I think this is one of the things that what I emphasize culture, that I'm putting my finger on. That it wasn't just that the government got too big or the spending. We lost a sense of nobility, a sense of honor, a sense of people criticize Trump, the left, that he's a liar. Is there ever been a politician in your life that has been more direct with people? It's almost uncomfortable. The other day when he was in California with Karen Bass, the mayor, I mean, he just schooled her. It's embarrassing. It's almost like it's uncomfortable. He's so direct. But this is it. This man, his speech, when you listen, you can tell he's talking to an audience that is not with him completely. Like last year, there were almost nobody with him. Now everybody's moving over, late to the party. Right, just like we see in the United States with Zuckerberg and Bezos, right, and Gates. Now everybody wants to be at the table. Where were they a year ago? So telling people truth to their faces and trusting that they'll understand. It's a great way, a hard way, and it really touches on something beyond the political. It touches on a relationship issue. I mentioned the other day in my own life and in all our lives, we have situations where situations need to be corrected. Someone's behavior is out of line. Maybe it's our own. Sometimes it's somebody else in our life and we're really not at fault. And we need to correct that situation. And when we have an argument and we make peace, it's not about making people feel better about themselves. It's about justice and being fair with as much compassion and mercy and kindness as we can. But the goal is never about making people feel better. It's about truth. And true reconciliation may actually sting more than the breach in the relationship itself. But over time, it's a much better resolution that leads to true joy, not just a superficial feeling of happiness. Okay, it's like same with children. It may cause pain by disciplining them or taking something away from them that's not healthy. But this is how politicians need to speak to these forums. Direct. He was right a year ago. They were wrong. He's still right. They're finally moving over, and he's reminding them.
Do I feel alone? Because over the course of this year, I have found allies in this fight for the ideas of freedom in every corner of the world. From the amazing Elon Musk to that fierce Italian lady, my dear Giorgia Meloni. From Bukele in El Salvador to Viktor Orban in Hungary. From Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel to Donald Trump in the United States. Slowly, an international alliance has been forming among all those nations which, like ours, want to be free and believe in the ideas of liberty. And slowly, what once seemed like the absolute global hegemony of the woke left in politics, educational institutions, in the media, in supranational organizations, or even in forums like Davos, has begun to crumble. And a hope for the ideas of freedom is starting to emerge. Today, I've come here to tell you that our battle is not yet won. And although hope has been rekindled, it is our moral duty and our historical responsibility to dismantle the ideological edifice of sickly wokeism. Until we have succeeded in rebuilding our historical cathedral, until we have ensured that the majority of Western countries once again embrace the ideas of liberty, until our ideas become the common currency in the halls of events such as this one, we can't let our guard down. Because I must say that forums like this one have been protagonists and promoters of the sinister agenda of wokeism that is doing so much damage to the Western world.
All right, I mean, look at this. He's going right at him, right? Forums like this one have been supporting and promoting wokeism, the problem. And the battle's not over. He's not alone anymore. He's naming figures around the world. And but it's not over, right? The cathedral of freedom. And he's on a mission, this guy. I mean, it's I would love to see some cameras on the faces in the audience here.
If we want to change, if we truly want to defend the rights of citizens, we must first begin by telling them the truth. And the truth is that there is something badly mistaken about the ideas that have been promoted through forums such as this one. And I would like to take a few minutes today to discuss some of them.
All right, I'm going to stop